We've been moving for months now. We haven't had a romantic getaway, an escape, time together. And so what's happened is we've become battle buddies, not love.
Kody and Robyn Brown have become the center of attention once again, not because of the family dynamics that originally made Sister Wives compelling, but because the show now appears to revolve almost entirely around their lives, their choices, and the dramatic, sometimes exaggerated presentation of their daily routines. In the early days of Sister Wives, audiences were captivated by the intricate web of relationships, the tension between plural marriage and individual desires, and the genuine moments of familial connection and conflict. Viewers tuned in to understand how a large family navigated faith, love, and responsibility. Over time, however, the landscape of the show has shifted dramatically. Kody and Robyn, as the last remaining couple on camera, have become the sole focus, and the series has gradually transformed from an observational documentary into a highly curated display of two adults performing their version of domestic and social life for television cameras. At the heart of this shift lies a complex interplay of control, attention, and the ever-present drive for relevance. Kody Brown, once the patriarch of a sprawling, interconnected family, has positioned himself as the central figure in a narrative that increasingly seems designed to showcase his strength, decisiveness, and modernized lifestyle. Robyn Brown, supportive yet present in a more decorative capacity, complements this narrative by providing a consistent, camera-ready presence that emphasizes comfort, aesthetics, and an aspirational domesticity. The absence of the other wives, the fading of sibling interactions, and the minimal involvement of the adult children have left the show reliant on the chemistry, or sometimes lack thereof, between Kody and Robyn. This reliance has had multiple consequences. On one hand, it allows viewers to focus more intently on these two individuals, their decision-making processes, and the way they handle fame, family responsibilities, and financial obligations. On the other hand, it risks alienating the audience that was drawn to the complex family structure and authentic interpersonal dynamics of the original series. The background to this situation is rooted in both logistical and personal factors. The original plural family structure has long since fractured on multiple levels. Relocation, evolving personal priorities, and differing visions for life outside of the show have led many family members to pursue independent paths. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn have remained, and with the cameras in place, the couple has assumed a disproportionate narrative weight. Their homes, increasingly lavish and prominently featured, act as visual symbols of their continued presence and influence. The $2 million property in Flagstaff, with its multiple guest houses, RV garages, and expansive living areas, is both a literal and figurative stage on which Kody and Robyn perform the lifestyle they wish to project. Every aspect of their domestic life, from meticulously staged meals to daily routines designed for camera visibility, reinforces their role as central figures in a show that once prided itself on documenting family pluralism rather than individual excess. Audience reactions to this change have been varied and at times sharply divided. Longtime viewers, who first became invested in the family's complex social structures and the authentic challenges of plural marriage, have expressed disappointment and frustration. They noticed the absence of Meri, Christine, and Janelle, and with that absence, they sense the erasure of the very dynamics that made the show compelling. Discussions on fan forums and social media reflect a blend of nostalgia and dismay, with many expressing that Sister Wives now resembles a reality show in which drama is manufactured rather than emerging organically. In contrast, some viewers remain captivated by the spectacle, intrigued by the intricate decor, the carefully choreographed interactions, and the subtle tension between Kody and Robyn as they navigate the public eye. This latter group often frames the show less as a window into family life and more as a study of media, fame, and personal branding in a modern context. From an analytical perspective, the centralization of Kody and Robyn can be understood through the lens of media theory and reality television dynamics. When the core narrative of a series becomes unviable due to structural changes, producers often shift focus to characters who can sustain viewer interest. In this case, Kody and Robyn provide continuity, visual appeal, and predictable behavior patterns that can be edited into coherent storylines. Their presence allows for logistical simplification of production, but it comes at the cost of narrative richness. The show's pacing, which has become noticeably slower, mirrors the narrowing of narrative scope. Scenes that once served to illustrate family cohesion, sibling rivalry, or parental challenges now tend to center on mundane activities elevated for dramatic effect. Home tours, decorating projects, and carefully framed social interactions have replaced spontaneous familial moments, creating a rhythm that can feel both monotonous and artificially heightened. Experts in media studies suggest that this transition is not unusual in long-running reality series. As participants' lives evolve, the storylines that once defined them often diminish in prominence. In the absence of original narrative drivers, television producers rely increasingly on spectacle, aesthetics, and interpersonal friction to maintain audience engagement. In the case of Sister Wives, Kody and Robyn's lives provide both spectacle and aesthetic value, but less in the way of conflict that offers insight into family dynamics. The consequence is a program that functions more as a curated portrait of affluence and self-presentation than a sociological exploration of family pluralism. The emotional implications of this transformation extend beyond viewers' expectations. For the family members themselves, the shift likely carries significant weight. The adult children, now largely absent from on-camera narratives, are experiencing their own independence, but their absence also signals a change in public perception. Where the show once highlighted their growth, achievements, and challenges, it now focuses on parental performance, often to the exclusion of genuine engagement. For Kody and Robyn, the continuous spotlight creates pressures to maintain appearances, manage perceived shortcomings, and project unity and stability. The resulting stressors may influence decision-making, interpersonal communication, and overall well-being. This scenario illustrates a broader principle relevant to audiences everywhere. Media attention, while often framed as opportunity or reward, can impose constraints on authentic self-expression and personal relationships. Public commentary has also highlighted the moral and social dimensions of the show's current focus. Critics emphasize the dissonance between the family's luxurious presentation and the interpersonal gaps left by the absence of other wives and siblings. The tension between image and substance is apparent in discussions about financial management, parental responsibilities, and the ethics of broadcasting a lifestyle that, while appealing on the surface, may not fully represent the lived experiences of all involved. Educators and social commentators note that such programs offer teachable moments regarding the complexities of public persona versus private reality, the consequences of prioritizing self-image, and the ways in which control over media narratives can shape perceptions of success, stability, and moral authority. For audiences, this narrative shift underscores the importance of critical media literacy. Viewers are encouraged to analyze not only what is presented, but also what is omitted, recognizing that the absence of certain family members, the focus on curated interactions, and the emphasis on material wealth all serve specific storytelling functions. Understanding these dynamics allows audiences to engage more thoughtfully with content, appreciate the constructed nature of televised narratives, and maintain perspective on the distinction between entertainment and reality. The Sister Wives example provides a case study in how media framing, editing, and participant cooperation shape public perception, highlighting the necessity of skepticism, curiosity, and inquiry when consuming reality-based programming. As the show continues to air, the long-term consequences for both the Browns and the audience remain to be seen. Will Kody and Robyn's focus continue to sustain viewer interest, or will nostalgia for the original plural family dynamic drive ratings down? Can they maintain authenticity while serving as the sole narrative focus, or will the tension between public perception and private reality create increasing friction? While these questions remain open, one thing is clear. The transformation of Sister Wives reflects broader patterns in reality television, where production imperatives, participant behavior, and audience expectations converge to redefine storytelling. The Browns' lives, as currently portrayed, provide insight into fame, control, and the complexities of presenting a curated domestic existence to a wide and sometimes critical audience. Ultimately, the story of Kody and Robyn Brown on Sister Wives is not simply a tale of personal ambition or domestic life. It is a lens through which audiences can explore themes of influence, media manipulation, and the tension between private desires and public expectation. Their narrative, while aesthetically engaging and emotionally charged, offers lessons about the consequences of centralizing attention, the ethical considerations of visibility, and the ways in which power dynamics shape family stories in the public sphere. By examining these dynamics with care and reflection, viewers can better appreciate the underlying forces at play and derive insights relevant both to media consumption and the social responsibilities inherent in presenting one's life for mass entertainment. As the camera continues to follow Kody and Robyn, audiences are invited to observe, question, and reflect. The aesthetic decisions, the carefully choreographed routines, and the continuous focus on two central figures offer a rich tapestry for analysis, not only of the individuals themselves, but of the broader societal and psychological factors that influence reality television production. The narrative encourages contemplation of authenticity, the costs of performance, and the balance between personal fulfillment and audience expectation. It challenges viewers to consider the ways in which familial representation can be shaped, restricted, or enhanced by those with control over the camera, the script, and the overall presentation. Kody and Robyn Brown have become the unmistakable focal point of the latest chapters of Sister Wives, a transformation that highlights both the allure of a luxurious lifestyle and the hidden complexities that accompany it. Over the years, audiences who once followed the intricate dance of plural marriage, family conflict, and human vulnerability have watched as the show gradually shifted to spotlight these two adults, emphasizing their homes, their routines, and the carefully curated appearance of affluence. The Brown family's properties, most recently their multi-million-dollar home in Flagstaff, Arizona, with expansive living areas, guest houses, and recreational spaces, have become almost characters themselves in the narrative. Cameras linger on the manicured lawns, the vast interiors, and the visually impressive arrangements, presenting a life that is aspirational, even inviolable to many viewers. Yet behind the polished floors, the shiny countertops, and the aesthetically staged routines lie realities that are far less glamorous, revealing challenges that money alone cannot resolve and spotlighting a tension between external appearances and internal struggles that has fascinated and perplexed fans alike. From a background perspective, Kody and Robyn's rise to centrality on the show is intertwined with the evolving structure of the family. The other original wives, Meri, Christine, and Janelle, have stepped back from regular on-camera appearances, pursuing independent paths that reflect personal growth, new relationships, and varied priorities beyond the lens of reality television. In their absence, the cameras naturally turned toward the remaining couple, positioning Kody and Robyn not merely as participants in a plural family, but as the central figures whose decisions, lifestyles, and interpersonal dynamics now dominate the screen. This shift has significant implications. Whereas earlier seasons presented a multifaceted view of familial pluralism, with narratives emerging from interaction, conflict, and negotiation among several adults, the current episodes focus more on spectacle, material wealth, and the curated performance of domestic life. This focus has transformed the tone of the show, replacing the rich textures of a lived, shared experience with what is essentially a portrait of two adults navigating fame, financial responsibility, and the pressures of visibility in an increasingly scrutinized environment. Financial management has become one of the most notable areas where the contrast between luxury and reality manifests. The Browns' homes, with their extensive square footage, multiple amenities, and high-end finishes, require significant ongoing investment, from property taxes to maintenance costs. Expert commentators note that sustaining such lifestyles demands not only substantial income, but careful planning and attention to legal obligations. The very construction of these homes, while visually impressive, has occasionally sparked debate among fans and industry analysts regarding practicality versus display. Moving and furnishing large properties, while visually compelling for television, carries tangible financial implications that extend far beyond the screen. Child support, mortgage payments, and maintenance obligations are all legal responsibilities that intersect with the couple's desire to present a lifestyle of comfort and abundance, demonstrating that appearances, while aspirational, cannot erase underlying economic realities. Audience reactions to this juxtaposition of luxury and real-world challenges are mixed, reflecting both admiration and criticism. Some viewers express fascination with the aesthetic elements, the carefully designed interiors, the staged outdoor spaces, and the visible markers of wealth that characterize Kody and Robyn's homes. Others, however, perceive a growing dissonance between these material displays and the underlying emotional and logistical complexities of family life. Commentators highlight that while the Brown family presents a visually polished exterior, the show now captures less of the interpersonal dynamics that once drew viewers in, focusing instead on the rituals of wealth management, relocation, and household performance. This shift can provoke feelings of alienation among fans who originally tuned in to witness genuine family interactions, shared challenges, and the negotiation of personal values within a plural family framework. From an analytical standpoint, the transformation of Sister Wives into a platform largely centered on Kody and Robyn illustrates broader patterns in reality television. When narrative drivers shift due to structural changes within the family or the departure of key participants, producers often pivot to individuals who can sustain engagement through charisma, visual appeal, or lifestyle display. Kody and Robyn's prominence thus serves dual purposes. They provide continuity for the series while offering opportunities for visual spectacle, a narrative device that can be edited and structured to maintain audience interest. Yet this focus also risks diminishing the emotional and educational value of the show. While wealth, luxury, and aesthetic presentation are engaging, they do not replace the human stories of negotiation, compromise, and relational complexity that originally defined the series. The result is a program that, while visually compelling, functions increasingly as a study in performance, public persona, and the management of appearances. Emotional and social considerations further complicate the narrative. Kody and Robyn's position as central figures places them under constant scrutiny, both from viewers and from family members whose lives continue largely outside the lens of the camera. Maintaining appearances, managing expectations, and projecting unity can introduce stress and interpersonal tension, particularly when financial decisions, legal obligations, and familial responsibilities intersect with televised performances. Observers have noted that such pressures can magnify minor disputes, elevate everyday challenges to dramatic events, and foster a degree of performance that obscures the authenticity of private experiences. Moreover, the audience's perception of wealth as a proxy for stability or competence can create additional strain, as external validation becomes intertwined with internal decision-making and family dynamics. Legal considerations are also central to understanding the Browns' current situation. Obligations such as child support, mortgage compliance, and property management intersect with public perception in ways that are uniquely amplified by the reality television context. For instance, public scrutiny regarding the provision of child support for Truly, one of Kody and Robyn's children, demonstrates the tension between financial responsibility and narrative control. Viewers and experts alike have observed that while the show emphasizes material abundance, the legal and ethical obligations underlying these decisions are less visible but critically important. This juxtaposition highlights the educational takeaway that wealth and visibility do not automatically translate into responsible management or familial stability. The gap between appearance and reality serves as a reminder that public image can obscure underlying responsibilities and challenges, making media literacy and critical engagement essential for viewers. From a broader cultural perspective, the Browns' narrative provides insight into societal fascination with wealth, family, and public persona. The appeal of opulent homes, staged routines, and curated domestic performance lies in the aspirational nature of the content. Yet the underlying tensions, the legal obligations, interpersonal complexities, and practical realities of maintaining such a lifestyle serve as an instructive lens on the limits of material comfort as a solution to relational or logistical challenges. Sociologists and media analysts note that such cases illustrate the ways in which social media and televised reality reinforce aspirational ideals while potentially masking the difficulties inherent in sustaining them. The public's simultaneous attraction and critique of the Browns' lifestyle reflect a complex relationship between admiration, skepticism, and the desire for relatable narratives, a tension that is instructive for understanding media consumption more broadly. Public commentary underscores the emotional resonance of this situation. Many viewers express empathy for the difficulties inherent in managing a family across multiple properties while balancing obligations to children, former partners, and the public. At the same time, criticism emerges regarding the perceived prioritization of aesthetic and material display over relational engagement. These responses illuminate the interplay between wealth, visibility, and authenticity, and they reinforce the notion that material abundance does not automatically resolve relational or ethical challenges. This narrative tension, captured through both the show and public discourse, provides fertile ground for reflection on values, priorities, and the costs associated with maintaining a public persona in high-stakes social and familial contexts. Educationally, the Browns' story offers several key takeaways. First, the presentation of luxury and abundance in the media should be analyzed critically, recognizing that visual spectacle may obscure legal, financial, and interpersonal realities. Second, the intersection of media exposure and personal responsibility highlights the need for ethical consideration in decisions that affect family members, children, and public perception. Third, the balancing act between performance for an audience and authentic personal engagement offers broader lessons about self-presentation, accountability, and the management of relational dynamics in contexts of visibility. By engaging with these themes thoughtfully, audiences can develop a nuanced understanding of both the pleasures and pitfalls associated with public life and wealth, as well as the human realities behind carefully curated appearances. Looking forward, the trajectory of Kody and Robyn Brown suggests that the tension between opulence and practical challenges will continue to shape narratives on sister wives. The couple's ability to sustain audience interest may depend as much on the unfolding of domestic and financial realities as on their curated presentations of comfort and abundance. Analysts predict that future storylines will likely explore the practical, legal, and relational dimensions of maintaining expansive properties, managing family responsibilities, and negotiating public perception, all while adhering to the expectations of reality television audiences. The continued evolution of the show offers both cautionary and instructive lessons for viewers about the interplay of wealth, visibility, and human experience. Ultimately, the story of Kody and Robyn Brown is as much about human complexity as it is about luxury or televised spectacle. Their lives offer a window into the challenges of balancing material comfort with relational responsibility, public performance with private obligation, and aesthetic presentation with ethical and legal requirements. By examining their experiences closely, audiences gain insight into the broader implications of lifestyle, media representation, and the responsibilities that accompany wealth and visibility. The Browns' journey highlights the enduring tension between aspiration and reality, offering a narrative rich with lessons, reflections, and emotional resonance. Their story underscores that luxury and visibility, while compelling, cannot substitute for attentiveness, accountability, and genuine human connection. The contrast between what is shown and what is experienced invites viewers to consider the deeper truths behind televised lives and the responsibilities inherent in family, finance, and fame. Kody and Robyn Brown, through the lens of sister wives, continue to provide both entertainment and instructive reflection, demonstrating that every curated lifestyle carries underlying complexities and that understanding the full picture requires attention, empathy, and critical insight. In observing their lives, audiences are reminded that material success, while visually impressive, is inseparable from the practical, legal, and emotional realities that define human experience, and that behind every grand home and staged routine lies a network of challenges that call for reflection, understanding, and thoughtful engagement. Meri, Christine, Janelle, and their children have embarked on markedly different paths in recent years, choosing lives that are increasingly independent from the lens of reality television and the central narrative that once defined sister wives. With the cameras no longer capturing the entirety of their daily routines and interpersonal dynamics, these family members have begun to cultivate personal identities, professional pursuits, and domestic rhythms that reflect their own priorities rather than the obligations of an ongoing television franchise. This shift provides a fascinating study in adaptation, resilience, and the search for personal fulfillment outside a framework that once dictated the contours of their public and private existence. In examining their choices, it becomes evident that the departure from the show is not a retreat but a strategic move toward autonomy, allowing for more authentic engagement with family, community, and individual growth. Meri Duggar, historically portrayed on Sister Wives as a woman negotiating faith, family responsibilities, and her own personal agency, has embraced new beginnings that focus on personal development, education, and social engagement. Freed from the constraints of scripted interactions and producer-driven storylines, Meri has taken steps to establish routines and environments that prioritize her children's stability and her own well-being. Her daily life now includes structured learning opportunities, personal projects, and community involvement that underscore a broader commitment to growth and sustainability. Observers have noted that this transition reflects both a recognition of the limitations inherent in prolonged reality television participation and a conscious choice to cultivate spaces where authenticity, rather than performance, shapes interactions and decisions. Christine, another former focal figure in the series, has similarly redefined her personal and familial life. Historically, Christine's narrative on the show revolved around her relationship with Kody Brown and the navigation of plural marriage, alongside challenges tied to child rearing and domestic management. In recent years, Christine has deliberately pursued a life in which autonomy and agency are foregrounded, establishing routines that prioritize her children's well-being, educational opportunities, and emotional security. This transition includes careful attention to legal obligations, financial management, and the cultivation of an environment that supports long-term stability. The movement away from the show allows her to navigate these responsibilities without the constant mediation of cameras, producers, or audience expectations, providing an invaluable case study in the benefits and challenges of reclaiming one's personal narrative after prolonged exposure to public scrutiny. Janelle's path is illustrative of another dimension of this post-show existence. While maintaining family connections and supporting her children's pursuits, Janelle has shifted her focus toward a lifestyle that balances community engagement, personal interests, and practical household management. By stepping away from on-screen performances and embracing a quieter, more controlled domestic rhythm, Janelle demonstrates the possibilities inherent in reorienting life toward authenticity and stability. Her experience highlights the interplay between visibility and privacy, showing how former participants of reality television can reclaim autonomy while maintaining connection with family members and personal priorities. Experts in media studies emphasize that this recalibration is essential for long-term well-being, as prolonged exposure to production environments can heighten stress, magnify conflicts, and create pressures that distort interpersonal relationships. For the children of these former participants, the shift toward off-camera life has profound implications. Growing up in a household once defined by cameras, storylines, and audience expectations, these young adults and adolescents now encounter the opportunity to form identities and social networks largely independent of public scrutiny. Educational pursuits, extracurricular activities, and friendships can develop without the weight of televisual oversight, allowing for a more natural and developmentally supportive environment. Psychologists note that this transition is critical for emotional resilience, as the normalization of private spaces fosters autonomy, responsibility, and interpersonal skills that might otherwise be overshadowed by performative obligations. The children's evolving experiences illustrate the broader consequences of shifting from mediated visibility to private life, highlighting the interplay between environment, expectation, and personal development. Public response to the family's new trajectory has been mixed, reflecting both admiration and curiosity. Audiences accustomed to long-term engagement with the show have expressed appreciation for the family's decision to pursue more private, grounded lives, recognizing the importance of authentic growth and the cultivation of secure domestic spaces. At the same time, fans of the series occasionally express nostalgia for on-screen interactions, moments of shared vulnerability, and the dramatized tensions that once formed the core of the show's appeal. These reactions illuminate the complex relationship between viewers and reality television subjects, underscoring how the movement from camera-centered existence to private life can simultaneously satisfy and frustrate long-term audiences. Media analysts interpret this phenomenon as a natural evolution of both the family's life and viewer engagement, highlighting the shifting priorities of content consumption and the value of autonomy over spectacle. Educationally, the trajectory of Meri, Christine, Janelle, and their children provides multiple instructive lessons for audiences. First, it demonstrates the importance of distinguishing between mediated identity and lived experience, emphasizing the need to critically assess the influence of media exposure on family dynamics, personal development, and interpersonal decision-making. Second, it illustrates the benefits of pursuing autonomy, balance, and personal growth after participation in highly publicized environments, revealing how individuals can reclaim agency, create meaningful routines, and cultivate relational stability. Third, it highlights the value of setting boundaries, prioritizing privacy, and managing responsibilities with intentionality, even when prior visibility has created heightened public interest and expectations. These insights are applicable not only to reality television contexts, but to broader social, familial, and professional settings, offering lessons in resilience, ethical engagement, and sustainable personal development. Analytical observation of this transition also reveals the importance of relational recalibration. The former participants must navigate interactions with Kody and Robyn Brown, who remain highly visible in the public eye, while maintaining personal boundaries and fostering independent family units. This balancing act involves legal considerations, co-parenting dynamics, and ongoing emotional negotiation, illustrating the nuanced challenges that arise when visibility, history, and divergent life choices intersect. Experts note that the capacity to maintain connection while asserting autonomy is a key marker of emotional intelligence and relational health, providing a model for families in analogous circumstances. The interplay between presence and distance, engagement and independence, creates a rich landscape for analysis, showing how strategic decisions about visibility and personal narrative can shape long-term outcomes. From a sociocultural perspective, the family's decision to live off-camera and pursue independent trajectories resonates with broader trends in media engagement, identity construction, and family strategy. In an era characterized by omnipresent surveillance, social media amplification, and reality television saturation, the intentional choice to step back, focus on authentic growth, and prioritize private life is increasingly recognized as both courageous and necessary. This approach challenges the assumption that public visibility equates to value or success, reframing the narrative to highlight the importance of self-determination, relational health, and emotional resilience. By stepping away from continuous exposure, the former Sister Wives participants offer an instructive case study in media literacy, the management of public persona, and the cultivation of meaningful domestic spaces. Public opinion reflects an evolving appreciation for this dynamic. Commentators note that the family's ability to maintain cohesion, support children's development, and cultivate personal interests, all without reliance on televised dramatization, demonstrates both maturity and foresight. Fans express curiosity regarding how these choices influence long-term trajectories, particularly in terms of educational achievements, career pursuits, and relational stability. Analysts point to the emergence of alternative platforms for engagement, social media, localized community participation, and professional endeavors, as avenues through which former reality television participants can remain connected to audiences while retaining autonomy, illustrating a strategic blending of visibility and independence that balances public interest with personal well-being. Emotionally, the transition provides rich terrain for reflection. Moving from highly mediated environments to private, autonomous life allows for emotional recalibration, fostering opportunities for vulnerability, self-discovery, and relational depth. Individuals who have previously navigated high-intensity public scrutiny can experience relief, reduced stress, and increased capacity for authentic interaction. The children in particular gain access to developmental environments that emphasize emotional security, consistent caregiving, and experiential learning rather than performative expectation. Observers note that such recalibration is essential for long-term resilience, providing a foundation for sustainable well-being that transcends the artificial rhythms imposed by media production cycles. Legally and practically, the family's separation from the ongoing series also entails navigating the continuation of co-parenting arrangements, property management, and potential financial considerations linked to prior contractual obligations. While no longer in daily view, these responsibilities remain in the background, requiring careful attention, negotiation, and adherence to legal frameworks. Analysts highlight that such considerations reflect the intersection of private life and residual public entanglements, emphasizing the need for deliberate planning, clear communication, and proactive problem-solving to support autonomy while maintaining relational and financial stability. The family's approach provides a model for balancing residual obligations with new trajectories, illustrating how strategic planning and mindful engagement can facilitate successful post-reality television transitions. Looking forward, the trajectory of Meri, Christine, Janelle, and their children suggests continued exploration of independent life, professional growth, and relational stability. Future developments are likely to center on educational milestones, career pursuits, and personal achievements, all undertaken with reduced exposure to public scrutiny and the performative demands of televised family life. Analysts predict that such developments will provide both instructive and engaging narratives for observers, demonstrating the potential for personal fulfillment and familial cohesion in contexts removed from the pressures of public expectation. This forward-looking perspective emphasizes the broader lesson that stepping back from visibility can facilitate the cultivation of authentic priorities, relational depth, and long-term resilience. Ultimately, the lives of these family members illuminate the interplay between choice, autonomy, and the management of family dynamics in post-reality television contexts. By asserting independence from the camera, prioritizing emotional and practical needs, and cultivating private routines, they offer a model for navigating transitions, sustaining well-being, and balancing relational responsibilities with personal growth. Their experiences underscore the importance of thoughtful planning, ethical decision-making, and intentional boundary setting, demonstrating that a fulfilling and stable life can flourish beyond the glare of public attention. Through careful reflection and deliberate action, Meri, Christine, Janelle, and their children exemplify the possibilities inherent in reclaiming agency, nurturing relationships, and building meaningful, self-directed lives. In observing this family's post-show trajectory, audiences gain insight into the resilience of human agency, the significance of private space, and the long-term value of autonomy over performance. Their choices illustrate how individuals can construct meaningful, authentic lives while managing complex familial histories and residual public expectations. The transition from camera-focused life to independent domestic and professional spheres is instructive, providing a lens through which viewers can understand the challenges and rewards of asserting personal priorities, fostering relational health, and balancing legacy with new beginnings. As Meri, Christine, Janelle, and their children continue to navigate these paths, their story offers both cautionary and aspirational insights into the pursuit of authentic, fulfilling lives beyond the demands of reality television, emphasizing the enduring importance of family, autonomy, and the cultivation of meaningful personal and relational frameworks.